Roberta Metsola wins election to become European Parliament President in landslide victory. Maltese police officer jumps in front of car to save a 4-year-old girl, and a Gosden gym offers outdoor classes for unvaccinated people. All this and more on another episode of Lovin Daily. Good evening, Malta and Gozo, and welcome to another episode of Lovin Daily. I'm Matt, joined by my host Jonathan Chilia, and we are going to be bringing you today's top stories of what has been a very busy day in the news cycle for Malta locally and internationally, wouldn't you say?
It's been a massive day for Maltese politics, for European politics. Maltese politician and mother of four, Roberta Metsola, has officially been named the next president of the European Parliament. So in a landslide victory, no less. So this is, a really momentous moment for herself, for the Nationalist Party, which she forms part of, for the EPP, the parliamentary group that she forms part of in the EU, and for Malta, for Maltese people. I mean, obviously, we're used to Malta hitting international headlines in a bit of a negative light. This is a very positive story. Roberta Metsola is now one of the most powerful women in politics in general, probably the most powerful Maltese women in global politics, definitely in European politics. So just so you're aware, today, the vote was taken in the European Parliament. Roberta Metsola won in a landslide victory, getting 74% of the votes. It actually didn't even have to go to a second round. She won in the very first round of votes. Some people were expecting it to go to a second round, the third round. That's not the case at all. She won in the first round of votes. She has, made history by becoming the youngest ever president. And not only that, it is actually her birthday today. She turned 43 today. So, a happy birthday to her. And obviously from the whole Love of Malta team, a massive congratulations to her on this momentous victory. Now, when it comes to the votes, she actually won 458 of 616 eligible votes in Parliament. She only needed to get over half of the MEPs, and she really surpassed that number. Now, we actually had Lovin Malta editor Julian Bonici in Strasbourg on the scene today. He was actually in the Parliament when the vote was taken, part of the press conference right after as well. We're going to cut to a short video from Julian to kind of give us a bit of an insight of what it was like in Strasbourg today. Let's cut to the video right now.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. This is Julian Bonici, the editor-in-chief at Lovin Malta. I'm actually here in Strasbourg, in the only part I could find a little bit of quiet in the European Parliament. I'm here on the day where Roberta Metsola was elected the European Parliament President. She's the youngest ever to do so. It's a really amazing feat, and was really special seeing a Maltese person be on that podium, addressing Parliament using Maltese English, at points Italian, at points French. It was a really proud moment, I think, for all of Malta. What's really impressive about this result for Metsola in particular is that she won the election on the first ballot with a major majority, really showing what cross-party support she has in the European Parliament. I spoke to many Labour MEPs, Alfred Sant, Alex Aciu-Saliba, Josiane Cotard, Cyrus Enjera, who were all full of praise for the amazing achievement of Roberta Metsola, not just for themselves, but for the entirety of Malta. It's really going to hopefully inspire some people out there that, hey, just because you're from a small island, a lot can be done. Roberta Metsola's speech was really interesting, focused on all her priorities, all her vision for the upcoming years of the European Parliament. You can actually read the full speech on Lovin Malta. It was really nice. And this afternoon, she's already doing some parliamentary business, actually overseeing the votes of the vice president. So immediately off to work for Roberta Metsola on what's actually meant to be her birthday, but she's already super busy. It's a really impressive feat. Hopefully, it's going to improve Malta's reputational standing on the international stage. That's all I've got to say for the time being. We'll keep you updated on any other developments as they come.
So that was Julian Bonici, direct from Strasbourg. Now, what's interesting to note is that Metsola will be occupying this role for at least 2.5 years, so quite some time to make some big impacts at the European level. But as far as the local level goes, Malta's been full of reactions. We had Prime Minister Robert Abella, who's actually in Strasbourg, saying, congratulations, Roberta Metsola. I look forward to working together on mutual priorities. Obviously, if you're not aware, there was a little bit of controversy because, especially during the Joseph Muscat administration, there was lots of attacks on Roberta Metsola from many high-ranking Labour officials. Some people had called her a traitor. So many people were wondering, what would the relationship between Roberta Metsola and Robert Abela be? However, it is good to see that Robert Abela went up to Strasbourg to show support with her. He actually embraced her this morning before the vote. And since then, Metsola herself has come out saying that she looks forward to working with Abela as well. So very good to see there. But, Bernard Gregg, the leader of the Nationalist Party, was a little bit more emotional. He's also in Strasbourg. He also embraced Metsola. And he said, quote, "Roberta, I find myself emotional and proud that you are the new president of the European Parliament. You gave birth to new hope. That when you fight for what is right, you will always emerge a winner." Maltese President George Vella as well marked the occasion by saying, quote, "This is also a very important achievement for our country, which is time and time again proved that if united, our size and geography pose no obstacle to vision and commitment." So really, really good to see, members from the Labour Party as well as the government, praising a person from the opposition on this moment. But it wasn't all national unity. PL candidate Herbert Conti chose today, to post about whether the nation could trust Metsola, and he referred back to that very famous, iconic photo of Roberta Metsola refusing to shake the hand of former Prime Minister Joseph Muscat. He shared this photo again saying, can we trust Metsola since she had refused to shake the hand of Joseph Muscat, a moment that was very widely shared and went viral with many memes.
Indeed. The photo in question, which should be showing up on your screens right now, was taken by Ben Cardona and famously shows Roberta Metsola snubbing the disgraced former Prime Minister. Reactions have abounded, of course, including an illustration done by a popular local illustration page, Paper Yellow. Interestingly, it was rumoured that Joseph Muscat was touted for a particular high-ranking role in the EU at the time, and now in 2022, I believe 3 years later, how the tables have changed. Another interesting note, which will be interesting to see in terms of development for Roberta Metsola, is that she's come out and said that she will be taking the European Parliament's position in terms of abortion. Earlier this year, the European Parliament agreed that access to safe abortion is a human right. So I'll be curious to see how her role within the PN is going to develop on that front. Moving on to our next story of the day, a Maltese police officer has jumped in front of a car to save a 4-year-old girl. This news coming out of Rabat. The Maltese police force shared details of the incident by taking to social media and celebrated PC 2423 Delia. The policewoman was apparently stationed outside St. Paul's Church when she jumped in front of a moving car to save this girl who had crossed the street to meet her father. Her mother took to social media herself and said she is a real hero.
This is the kind of story we do want to see coming out from the Maltese police force. They are often the target of serious accusations, and there are proper investigations into that. So when you hear a positive story of an officer risking her own life and limb to save a 4-year-old girl, the family coming out calling her a hero, this is something that we definitely want to see. So we definitely applaud Police Officer Delia, as well as the police force for allowing these things and sharing it as well with the public what happened. Now, moving on to the next story, a bit of an interesting story from the sister island of Gozo. One of Gozo's biggest gyms has announced that it would actually be opening outdoor classes for people who want to work out because it is refusing to discriminate against those who are unvaccinated. So obviously, just yesterday, Malta implemented new rules where people who want to enter establishments such as restaurants, bars, or gyms need to prove that they're up to date with their latest COVID-19 vaccination and booster dose. It has been quite controversial since then. There's been protests. And now this gym, the gym is actually M&P Fitness in Gozo. They're saying, listen, we have over 100 people who are no longer able to attend our facilities, whether they haven't taken the booster or whether they're quarantining or having to wait 14 days from the date of the booster. So what we're going to do, we're going to do outdoor classes, not indoor, but outdoor classes so that people can stay in shape while, choosing to be unvaccinated or not take the booster if that's what they so desire.
Yep. The gym has made it clear that they will still be implementing rules for those who are attending the gym indoors. However, to cater to those who, don't have the vaccine or cannot attend right now. As Jonathan said, there will be outdoor classes and a live stream. Interestingly, when it comes to these measures, there have been a number of protests and a certain amount of outrage towards them. Just yesterday morning, there was a poorly attended national strike, which was called by Partit Popolare and the Freedom Movement. On Sunday, hundreds of people took to Valletta in protest. And just last night, a barbecue and picnic tables were set up at Valletta's entrance. Next story of the evening, Eurovision hopefuls have finally shared their full songs ahead of February's Malta Eurovision Song Contest. The popular singing contest show is finally back, and all 22 of the hopefuls are now available for listening. We have a number of familiar names out there, with a few X Factor and MGT past contestants like Matt Black, Mariana Conte and Nicole Hammett, and some big names as well. We have internationally famous Emma Muscat of Amici fame, who's come out with the song Out of Sight, as well as Aiden, who has, made waves recently with lots of Maltese songs, including his winning Love Malta Social Media Awards song. This year, he'll be presenting one called Ritmo. Right now, Aiden and Emma Muscat are leading the way in terms of views, but it'll be interesting to see developments as to who will reign victorious.
Oh, absolutely. I heard some tracks myself. I heard some of Aiden's tracks, Emma Muscat. I also heard Nicole Hammett's track, a nice little bass line there. Some interesting tunes. I saw a lot of discussion online, as there always is when it comes to Eurovision and Malta's entry for Eurovision. A lot of people are saying that they do hope that Malta, maybe not this year, next year, starts having a more modern approach to music. Now, I guess, some songs like by Aiden are quite modern, but the majority of pieces do sound like they could have been entered in previous years. But obviously, let us know in the comments below what songs you like the most, who you think Malta should send up to the Eurovision this year, and maybe take home the prize. And moving on to the final story, a very interesting story actually, one that has led to a lot of debate online. So the former leader of the Nationalist Party, Lovin Daily, has blasted a child vaccine advert that features the Prime Minister's daughter in it. So if you haven't seen this advert, it's a short clip that had been uploaded by the Health Ministry and by the government that basically has 5 children, and it's a very cute advert, very adorable, with children-like music, and it features children encouraging other children and their parents to get vaccinated against the COVID-19 virus. Adrian Delia, took umbrage to this video, saying, listen, COVID-19 is a sensitive issue and the vaccines are really controversial. However, using children to promote the vaccine when there's no science that puts your mind at rest is immoral. Enough is enough. Fight the fear. So very strong words from Adrian Delia on this case. Now, as we said in the previous stories, right now there's a lot of controversy over the new establishment entry rules. So Delia kind of putting his 2 cents in here is only going to add fuel to the fire. A lot of people disagreed with him, but a lot of people agreed with him as well.
Yes, I mean, I have some thoughts. So to kick things off, like what I personally disagree with entirely is Adrian Delia's, assertion that there's no scientific evidence basing, safety of vaccines. I feel like that spits in the face of the public health specialists and the healthcare professionals, doctors, nurses, what have you, who have been working tirelessly based on the scientific evidence they have available to them. And yes, scientific evidence changes all the time. This is a fact that people seem to conveniently forget. Whether kids should appear in adverts or not, irrespective of it being vaccine or related or otherwise, is a separate discussion, I think. The concept of assent for children and whether they actually know what they're signing up for is something else. That being said, if you present the flip side of the coin, right? Having someone as recognizable as Georgia May, right, the daughter of the Prime Minister, is who is in and of herself widely recognizable, carries its own weight, right? So I don't think that is necessarily a bad thing. It's not a black or white discussion at the end of the day. I don't know. I feel that there's lots of different topics that he's trying to angle at here. Is his problem with freedom? Is it kids? I don't know. Maybe you should stick to writing terrible poems on Facebook. That brings us to the end of today's episode of Lovin Daily. This has been Matt and Jonathan, and have an evening full of lovin'.